Time to talk some football on Around the Gridiron with your hosts. This guy could bench press me, and I'm 300 pounds. It's Houston Wentzel. This lady knows football. Just ask her. It's Marissa Boss. Last but not least, once this guy starts talking about football, it's hard to stop him. Brock Aker. Now here they are with Around the Gridiron.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the Gridiron. I am Brock Aker. I am joined today by co-host Marissa Voss. Houston Wentzel is gone this week. He will not be joining us. It'll just be me and Marissa this weekend breaking down the week 4. But we are going to have a little bit of a different layout here today. We're going to have some burning fire, rapid fire questions right away. We'll tell you what our biggest stories we think going into week 4 are. And then we'll give you some fantasy sleepers. I'll give you my fantasy sleepers going into this week because of the Titans and Steelers getting postponed, as well as, you remember 2 weeks ago with Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, a lot of injuries going down. I'm sure a lot of you are having troubles filling in that flex spot or a receiver 2 or a running back 2, and we'll set you up with that before we go a little more quicker and our picks with the NFL game. So before we get started, how are you doing today, Marissa?
I'm good. Very busy day today. I had to get up at like 4:30 in the morning to go and do my second job, and then I had to go to my other job, and I've been bouncing everywhere. And Brock said, "Hey, be awake for this one." So I bought a Rain energy drink, so I'm ready to talk some football. I'm amped.
Yeah, big week 4. We're gonna have a lot of energy on the show. I could just tell right here. Houston is gone. That's the sad part. But
Right.
he's one of those guys that kept us in line. We might be a little more out of line this show, but we'll see.
He's always like, back on it, back on. And me and you were like, oh yeah, okay, all right.
So yeah, this will be an interesting show. But right away, we're gonna have some interesting questions after watching the first 3 weeks. All 3 of us had our MVP be Patrick Mahomes. Now, after the first 3 weeks, who do you think, Marissa, is the best QB you would want the rest of the year? Not necessarily MVP, but if you had a team, you needed a quarterback for the rest of the season, which one would you take?
I got to go with the guy that I knew from the start was going to be absolutely electric this year. Yes, I didn't vote for him for MVP, but he is amazing. I have him in my fantasy. He's actually #1 rating right now in the QB. That is Russell Wilson. Absolutely electric. He has just spoken volumes for himself. He has nothing to prove, you know? We all know he's great. He just popped off this year. He is doing amazing, and I consider him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Statistically speaking, he's almost perfect every single game, and if there is someone I want to ride or die with as a QB, it's got to be Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, he had his son named Win. They literally named him W-I-N, Win. And that's exactly what he's done through the first 3 games, going 3-0. Most touchdown passes in the first 3 games in NFL history. This one's a tough one because I think it's obvious, especially after Monday night where Lamar Jackson looked pretty bad. It is between Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
The argument you can have with Russell that you could say too is his best receivers are Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I think DK Metcalf is an up-and-coming wide receiver. Like I said, I think he could be a top 5 receiver for the foreseeable future in the league. However, they don't compare as well to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, so you can say Russell is doing more with less. However, going against that Baltimore Ravens defense on the road, the Ravens defense shut down the Texans and the Browns. I know you look at what the Browns have done, though, these last 2 weeks. I know it's against the Redskins and the Bengals, but they've been throwing up 30-plus points each game.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that Ravens D is nothing to sneeze at, and Patrick Mahomes just made him look silly. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes still here if I had to pick a quarterback the rest of the year, but I can definitely see Russell. And I think finally there is clarity between who are the top 2 quarterbacks. It's always been Brady and Manning, and then it was Rodgers in that mix with Brady so long, but now with them aging a little bit, I think Aaron Rodgers is having a great year, but I think we're back to there's a clear-cut top 2 quarterbacks, and it's Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and you can arguably go in with Drew Brees too. You've seen a slight decline with Drew Brees as he has been lately locking and loading, and then he gets hesitant and he's like, nope, nope, I don't have it, and then he goes down. So I think that he's very hesitant right now with his arm, and that's his age showing. So I think he and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are all getting out of that mix, and it's just because that's how the game is. It's kind of how Brett Favre was, right? He was an amazing, amazing quarterback, but when you get older, you get older. And then you have these young bucks coming up that can do better than you could have at their age. So it's just how it is in this game. But for what Russell Wilson, how old he, not old, but what his age is versus Mahomes, I'm still impressed that he is doing what he's doing and sticking with a 23 or 24-year-old.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
those two are close. It is honestly a flip of a coin.
There's no doubt with that. Both Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, 3-0. The next question is, what 3-0 team, Marissa, do you think will not make the playoffs?
This one is always funny to me because everyone's like, well, they're 3-0, they're gonna make the playoffs. It's like, well, no. There was one year that, the Vikings went 0-3 or 0-2 and they ended up 9-7. Teams do that. But I don't this is a team where I go, huh? Huh? 3-0? Tennessee Titans. They're very peculiar to me because the Vikings were beating them for so long last game. And yes, they built their way up, but I'm not super impressed with Ryan Tannehill. I'm not super impressed with Derrick Henry this year. I don't know how you can let go 30 points for the defense and then
Against
still
the
win.
Vikings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
against the Vikings. The Vikings. I mean, they're not that good this year. I'm the first one to admit it. I think it's a definite rebuilding year for the Vikings. But how is you as a team that's supposed to be, how do you do that? You can't. You know what I mean? 49ers, not even 49ers, but Chiefs wouldn't do that. Seahawks wouldn't do that. There's these caliber teams that you're up against that are 3-0. Steelers wouldn't do that. So I don't have a lot of faith in them. I think that there's more up and coming teams that are going to beat them, and they're going to have a rough season coming up with their schedule and everything else.
Yeah, it's really tough to pick a 3-0 team not to make the playoffs, but I thought it would be an interesting discussion. I can see that too because you saw Gardner Minshew drop 30+ points against them 2 weeks ago. And then on Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins, who've given up. Yeah, they couldn't score on them, even though Josh Allen threw all over the Dolphins. Cam Newton made him look silly. So I do think the Titans, for being 3-0, they're one of the weaker 3-0 teams. So I definitely see that. I'm still going to go with the Chicago Bears, and we can crap on the Bears all we want this show with Houston not here.
Let's crap on them.
Yeah, they just have such a tough schedule coming up here. They got the Colts. Remember, they got to play the Packers a couple times. I think the Lions last week, they looked pretty good. So they still have some tough tasks ahead of them. And their defense is not the same. Look at it last week against the Falcons. The Falcons scored 26 points on them right away. Yes, they choked it like the Falcons do, but that defense is definitely a glaring hole. The Lions went down on them pretty easy. They were good at holding them to field goals, but I just don't know that Bears defense isn't that top 5 defense that they have been the last couple of years. They don't scare me as much, and because I think they're going to lose a couple to the Packers, they still got the Colts and the Titans and the Texans, who might be up and coming here after 0-3. I just haven't seen enough from them to still feel confident, even though they're 3-0, to make the playoffs. So I'm going to say the Chicago Bears won't make the playoffs.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I swear every time I forget, I'm like, wait a minute. What alternate reality am I in that the Bears are 3-0? Like, I literally just forget it because if you look at them, they're having quarterback issues right now. They're having identity issues right now of who's going to be the star of the show, who's going to do that. Mitch is not doing great. I mean, like you said, their defense, I don't know. This team, I would say that is a really good pick, Brock, because this Bears team baffles me. I would even almost guess that if you could have guessed which team from the North do you think is gonna be 3-0? I would have guessed the Lions over the Bears, to be honest, if we're gonna actually talk about it. But I don't think they're gonna go anything. Like I said, Nick Foles is more of like a backup underdog, comes in underdog, takes it over. We've seen time and time again. I don't think he doesn't do good when he's the guy. He's the man. He's the main show. I don't think he does good. So it'll be interesting to see if they're gonna bench Trubisky and keep Nick Foles in and what he does under the limelight.
Yeah, and the Packers, I don't think they have to, with the Vikings going down, the Lions still a little inconsistent. I definitely think the Packers don't have any trouble with the Bears to close out that North. And then you talk about the NFC West too, 4 great teams, the Buccaneers and Saints, one of those teams that don't want to win the division. They're going to be in the wild card. I just see the Bears kind of dropping out here as we go.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the last question. 2 teams that have struggled in the NFC East, the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz has looked awful. Daniel Jones hasn't had much around him. And yes, he's had to go against some good defenses like the Steelers and the 49ers. And then in Chicago, still, he gets the Rams, which is going to be a lighter matchup than him. Who would you rather have, though, this year, the rest of the year, as your quarterback, Carson Wentz or Daniel Jones?
In normal years, I would say Carson Wentz, but I haven't seen enough from him to say that. And honestly, I feel like a lot of it is he hasn't looked the same since he's come back from his injury. I just don't feel confident in him. And he just looks like a scared little boy running around the field, like not knowing what the heck's going on. So I'm choosing Jones in this Daniel Jones. And I know it's not, these are hard questions that kind of would you rather bite your tongue? Or would you rather poke your eyes out? You know what I mean? But you got to take the lesser of 2 evils, and you got to take the Daniel Jones in this one, in my opinion, because I just don't have faith in Carson, and I don't have faith in the Eagles right now. And even though Saquon Barkley is gone from this New York Giants team, I'm still going with him because I just think that if you look at interceptions and you look at statistics, like I said, he's the lesser of evils, and he's a little more consistent than Carson. I'm just not impressed with him.
Definitely, because I'm taking Daniel Jones all the way too. I've been a Carson Wentz fan. I think he's a great guy. I like his audience of one of mentality and what he does off the field. But he's gotten 2 interceptions or more in each of the 3 games he's played, and he's played the Redskins, the Rams, and the Bengals. Those 3 team defenses aren't top tier by any means. You saw Josh Allen just throw all over the Rams. The Cowboys and the Rams are kind of in a little bit of a shootout that Sunday night. So the Rams was probably the best defense they played, but the Redskins and Bengals, and he's turning the ball over that much. I know he doesn't have much around him, but last week I said I wouldn't bench Carson Wentz here, and it'd be more of a knee-jerk reaction like Doug Peterson said. But when you look closer, with this offensive line, him getting hit, the way he's just not stepping into throws, I think this week against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football, he better go out and start throwing the football and not turn the ball over, or I think we might see Jalen Hurts, because the Eagles are only a half game out of first place. Mm-hmm. And after 4 games, that's a fourth of the year here. Or no, third of the year. Fourth of the year. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't took a math class.
I can't tell you. School. That's why I just grew silent if you heard me, because math gets involved, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm bad.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts, you know he's going to be ready. I don't know how great he's going to be right away. NFL's a different animal, but he might just be what they need to get going, get some more read option going. Miles Sanders is a great running back. You got Zach Ertz, but you don't have much of a receiving options that you might want to go with more of a running quarterback and do more what the Baltimore Ravens are doing.
I think that Jalen Hurts, it would be a good move because it would be a shocking move. It would put Wentz on his ass. It might even light a fire under Wentz because, like I said, he's looking like a freaking lost boy out there running around with his head chopped off. Like, you are an NFL quarterback. You went to, where did he go? Didn't he go UND or NDSU?
North Dakota State.
Yeah, North Dakota State. So, come on. What are you doing? And I know it's still Division I, but it's not what – I'm just not impressed with him. And I think that it could light a fire under him to say, holy crap, a rookie is starting over me. What am I doing?
Yeah, I feel bad for him. Great guy. He was great. He was almost MVP 2 years ago before he got hurt with the Eagles. But I don't know what happened. But I think Carson Wentz is done.
I think so too. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I've been saying this. If you go back in episodes, I've been saying this. Like it's been a hot take of mine, but I'm like, I don't like Carson. He came up on the fantasy for me to draft. I didn't want him. I just had a feeling. And obviously now I was right because I'm just if he makes a comeback, I will be thoroughly shocked. Like I will be probably dumbfounded because I just don't see it happening at all.
What would you do if the Eagles? You gotta do something for the show, for the podcast. What will you do if Carson Wentz leads the Eagles to win the division?
Oh god damn it. I don't even know. Like what will I do? If he comes back and he makes a comeback, all right, I'm going to buy a Carson Wentz shirt or jersey or something with Carson Wentz on it. I'm doing it. I've gotta. If he comes back, this is going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be ridiculous. If he actually makes a comeback, I'll buy a Carson Wentz shirt and I'll wear it for one of the pods.
All right. Yeah. That's for college students who are just getting out of college. That's some money right there. You have to pay to put it down. If Carson Wentz comes back and wins the division next year in our fantasy league, I'll take Carson Wentz with my first round pick, no matter if he wins the division. That's how confident that Carson Wentz will not lead the Eagles back to a division himself. Moving on to the biggest stories of this week, that kind of leads to my biggest story, is I'm interested to see what the NFC East does this week. Again, only a half game lead the Cowboys have. They play the Browns. Eagles play Sunday Night Football against the Niners. Giants go to LA. Washington's probably going to get crushed by Lamar. Are they going to have any life this week? That's something I'm looking forward to this week. And then finally, my New England Patriots, they're getting too much hype than I, as a Patriots fan, think. You see Sunday Night Football, they have them as the third best team in their power rankings, behind only the Seahawks and the Chiefs. So this is put up or shut up now. Yes, you look good against the Seahawks in the loss, but you've only beat the Raiders, who are 2-1, but I don't take that as that big of a win. I think the Raiders are kind of fake. I think they Monday Night Football in their home opener, they had a lot of adrenaline to knock off the Saints without Michael Thomas. And then they beat the Panthers, which isn't that big of a deal. So I still am not all set in for the Patriots after this past week with Cam Newton struggling against the Raiders. This week, Cam Newton needs to put up against this solid defense that shut down Lamar Jackson. That's what I'm watching for, even not as a Patriots fan, just as an NFL fan, to see if the press around that are unbiased, that are just in the media, that think the Patriots are so good. I want to see if that's legit. What are some of the stories you're looking for this week?
Well, just to comment on that, I was thinking about this a lot. I feel like when Cam, like with the Patriots, I'm also not completely sold on them. I don't think everyone's like, they're this good. I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't believe in that hype. Because for me, it's like when Cam throws to Julian Edelman, I feel like he just gets beaten up. Like, I just don't know. Like, I just feel like he gets beaten up and takes the tackles. So even like you saw last week, if you think that you're like, you had Julian on your roster and you're like, how in the world is he getting me no points, but the Eagles, like not the Eagles, the Patriots are winning? Like, how is this happening? That's why. So the days that, Julian will get good yardage is the days that I just don't think they're happening. And I don't think they're that good together personally. I think Edelman is more of Brady's receiver than anyone. But my biggest stories are to see if the Vikings are going to make a comeback. Not because I'm a Vikings fan, but just because I want to see what they're doing, and I want to see if Danielle Hunter, because he was not on IR. I haven't seen him. I think he's making a comeback this week, but I'm not entirely sure. So if he's coming back, I want to see how that momentum is going to change. I also want to see, though, the Buffalo Bills at Las Vegas Raiders. Personally, I know Raiders have a really tough schedule looking forward, and I think kind of the same thing, Brock, you said. I want to know if they're fake. Like, I want to know if it's just a whole thing. I want to know if they're actually good, because them upsetting the Saints, that's big. It's pretty big. So that's my biggest thing. And I want to see if Buffalo is the real deal here. I want to see if they're actually doing. I want to see how Allen is, because he's the only player in NFL history with at least 1,000 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns through the first 3 weeks of the season. That's big stats. So I want to see. That's my big things going on. I want to see how these guys play out and if they're the real deal or the fake news.
Yeah, that 3 o'clock slate is going to be good with that Raiders and Bills game, and then the Chiefs and Patriots. Those 2 games might be the 2 best games of the week, and they're going at the same time. I kind of wish the Bills and Raiders, I know it's a little early, that they would have gotten moved to the Sunday night game instead of the Niners and the Eagles. But
I know I feel like lately, like the Thursday night games have been garbage, and like all the night games have been like, no, this isn't bad. Like I could watch this, but like games like I said, like the Buffalo Bills and Las Vegas Raiders are like at 3. You're like, okay, well, I'm still gonna watch this, but I'd rather watch it at night. You know, the best game of this week, I think.
it was funny. NFL memes had a picture of the Thursday night logo, Sunday night logo, and the Monday night logo in front of, you seen grown-ups with David Spade's
God, I
3
saw that.
daughters. Yeah. And the what how would you explain that girl with a Thursday night football? I'll let you explain it, so I'm not mean.
Rob Schneider is one of the actors that is best known for him being in an Adam Sandler Entourage. So he's always in an Adam Sandler movie. It looks exactly like him, but in girl form. Like she's just kind of fugly. And then you have the 2 other girls who are like supermodels. Like I think, I don't know if Kate Upton's not one of the actresses, but like one of the girls looks like Kate Upton. And those are hot.
With a slightly shorter breasts. You gotta say that.
Yeah,
It's
difference. You're right. The breasts are both A cups on both of the hot girls. Still good looking though. Better than me. And then the other one is just like the duff of the group, like the absolutely designated ugly fat friend. Like she is.
And that was perfect because of the two Sunday night Breeze versus Rodgers and the Lamar versus Mahomes. So that was great. But yeah, I think this week, I think the NFL, if Sunday night, the Eagles, you think, are going to actually put up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think it's Wentz's last chance, but I'm not going to put it in. I hope to see Jalen Hurts Sunday night because I'm actually going to be watching that game. Obviously, it's the only game on. I kind of want to see some Jalen that game, but
I want to see what he can do.
Right? He's went to the Oklahoma last year, went under Alabama's Nick Saban. I think he's got the right mindset to go in a tough Philadelphia fan base to take that head on. Let's move on to my fantasy sleepers here before we go to our picks. I'm going to start with the quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you have Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Tannehill for some reason as your QB1, if you really waited on quarterback, go look and see if Ryan Fitzpatrick is available in your league. He's going against the Seattle Seahawks, who have given up the most yards passing in the NFL by a landslide. They've given up 1,292 passing yards. Second is the Falcons with 1,051. And the Seahawks are giving up about 29 points per game. They have to go across the country without Jamal Adams. Give me Ryan Fitzpatrick to have some Fitz magic, and you might be surprised with my big upset this week. Moving on, combined with that, Preston Williams, 6'5" receiver. He's kind of had some off and on, only 2 receptions, but he got a touchdown last week. He looked pretty decent against my Patriots in week 1. Since I think it's going to be a shootout, Devontae Parker kind of having some hamstring issues, but I think Griffin's going to guard him. Look for Preston Williams to be the best benefactor of that matchup. If you have a Juju Smith-Schuster, an A.J. Brown, a Deontay Johnson that you normally have in one of your receiver spots, pick up Preston Williams. He's available in about 70% of leagues still, and plug him into your lineup. So I do like the Dolphins definitely in that matchup, the passing game. So that's why I'd look at those 2 to fill. Going on to running backs. Derrick Henry, James Conner, 2 up and coming, or not up and coming, already pretty big studs in the NFL. You obviously are starting them if you have them. You can't with that postponement. Look for two guys that are owned in about 35%, so they might be available. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert's still yet to practice. Jeff Wilson's in a committee with Jerick McKinnon, but he had 2 touchdowns last week, so he has some upside to go off for you on Sunday night. And then Chase Edmonds. Kenyon Drake has not looked good this year. They're going against the Panthers, giving up the most points to fantasy running backs this year and last year. I think Chase Edmonds might earn a couple more carries because of the game script, and they might want to see what more they have in Edmonds because Drake hasn't been the guy he was last week. So Edmonds could get you 9 carries, 60 yards, and find the end zone, and all of a sudden you have a pretty solid running back. So if you're desperate, Jeff Wilson, Chase Edmonds are the best guys I think that are available in most leagues that you can plug in. And then finally, tight end. Tight ends have been really tough this year. George Kittle coming back, which helps a lot of people. But if you're still struggling at tight end, I love revenge games. I told you that about Robert Woods last week, going against the Buffalo Bills, and he scored. It's just that factor that players like to score against their old team. Tight end Tyler Eifert going against the Cincinnati Bengals. I like Tyler Eifert to get in the end zone this week. And if you can get in the end zone as a tight end right away, you're about a tight end number 1, a top 10 player if you can get in the end zone. So if you're desperate, Tyler Eifert's available on 90% of leagues. Go pick him up and start him against his former team. Do you have any sleepers this week, Marissa?
Honestly, Brock, not a huge into like I know my fantasy, but not on the basis you know. So I don't have anything to add. I don't want to
You're in 4th place though. I think me in our fantasy league, I'm in
That is
1st.
true.
Someone else is 2nd, and you and Huey are 3rd and 4th. So we're actually at the top of our game, at least in that our league.
I know. Well, I will say with the NFL fantasy app, I like how it's laid out, and because I like how it tells you, which quarterback is first, which is this. I don't know. I just like how it's laid out, and I use that a lot. Obviously, I've been using the waiver wires more and more just to kind of monitor that and do that because in the beginning, I think I had my first loss because my bench, like I didn't know how to run fantasy at that point. I was just like, how do I do this again? Like, how am I getting into this? But now I'm starting to get the hang of it. My biggest thing,
newbies actually, at least in the leagues I've been, newbies have been very successful. My very first year in fantasy, that was the year Adrian Peterson was a rookie. I drafted him late. I drafted Tom Brady and Randy Moss the year he threw 50 touchdowns and Moss caught 22 from him. Then I had like LTTO. I got lucky. I drafted them all, and they broke out. I scored the most points in that league than ever before, and still is a record. I think you don't overthink it when you're new, and I think that kind of helps you.
No, and I was just gonna say, like, I feel like when everyone knows so much, like you know so much about fantasy, you do, but it also gets to the point of where you're like, oh, this and this, and there's like so much going on inside your brain. For me, I'm just like, oh, Jerick McKinnon, he's looking good. Okay. And I get it. And then all of a sudden he pops off and he goes like 14 points or 15 points in one game. I'm like, oh, Robinson. I'll take him. And he gets like 24 points. I'm like, I'm like, oh, Russell.
Yeah, James Robinson was a great pickup by you.
Oh, dude. I think I didn't even draft him. I put a waiver wire in for him. And I was just like, the thing with me, like I said, it was pure luck because I didn't know. I just kind of picked him up and I was like, oh, this is good. And all of a sudden he popped off and I was like, oh my God, I'm in 4th place. I was so happy. I jumped from 7th to 4th.
Yeah, definitely. One last sleeper I missed. Adam Lazard has core issues. He might be out for quite some time. Receiver for the Packers coming off a good week. Devontae Adams did come back to practice this week. But the Packers don't start their players unless they're fully healthy. They're very, very careful with their injuries. So even if Adams plays, Marcus Valdes-Scantling has been dropped in many leagues these past couple of weeks because Lazard stepped up. But since he's going to be out for quite some time, Adams still might not play against the bad Falcons. They're second giving us most yards per passing, just behind the Seahawks, I said. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, you can pick him up and put him in as your flex this week. He could be another option. All right, let's go to the picks. We're just going to go nice and easy through these picks. Not too much detail, but we'll get you a little insight here. The first one is the Bears versus the Colts. The Colts are favored by 2.5 points. Marissa, on the road favorites. Are you taking the Colts, or are you thinking the Bears will stay undefeated?
Honestly, this one's hard because we've talked about the Bears time and time again. Like we mentioned, are having an identity crisis right now, and I don't know who's starting, and I don't know if Foles is going. I'm gonna take the Colts probably, just because he did beat the Vikings, and this team is 2-1, yes, but their Chicago Bears are 3-0, and they really have no business. Um, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting though with the Bears because I want to see if they're gonna start Nick Foles or they're still gonna start Trubisky. Like they did bench Trubisky, but I want to see how that turns out because last game, both of these quarterbacks had 3 interceptions. So it's kind of like again the lesser of two evils. Like they both suck. Flip a coin. I'm not keen on either of them. I just think maybe even the Colts have a little bit more to work with than the. Do at this point. So I think that's what I'm gonna roll with. I'm gonna roll with
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
Colts.
I'm gonna take the Colts as well. They've given up the least amount of points of this season, so I think it's gonna be their defense is better than people give them credit for. Darius Leonard, one of the best players in the NFL. Xavier Rhodes looked good. I think that's gonna be a fun matchup to see Allen Robinson going against Rhodes again. They know each other very well, but I think Rhodes is a little bit more better than he was last year. Definitely
Oh,
from what you said on the podcast on Monday. So I'm going to take the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, big game. Bears gave up over 150 yards with Gurley and Hill on a couple touchdowns. And then week 1, you saw Swift, Peterson all get into some action. I like Jonathan Taylor this week. In more of a close game last week, he was faded out a little bit because of the 36-7 win. Going on to the let's go quick to the Houston's pick. He gave me the Houston's pick. He messaged that to me. He's taking the Chicago Bears. So
oh,
he's
fine.
going against us, Marissa.
He's gonna lose. He's gonna
I
lose.
hope so. I'm not very good at the picks. I think I'm in last place. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a gift. That's what I'm saying. I'm like better in fantasy. Not you're better in fantasy, and I'm better just like picking. But also, I just don't really overthink, and I'm like, yeah, I think this is what it is. So I don't know. We'll see
All
how
right,
this
yeah.
plays out.
Who do you got? Jags or Bengals? Bengals are favored by 3 points.
Um, the Jags burned me last week because I was like, oh, it's gonna be them, and then they lost. It's like, and they looked like trash. I
So
was like,
does Minshew look less attracting to you after you have the mustache after a loss? Or it's not about winning or losing, it's still the stash looks
it's
good
still the
no matter
stash.
what.
Like you can't just say, they lost. It's not the stash. He still got the stash. It's still the stash. I'm just upset that he looked like shit. Like I'm upset I'm like he got through 3 interceptions. Like that's something that you shouldn't do. And especially him having Robinson in his pocket, him having an absolute 43 carries, 210 yards, 3 touchdowns, magnificent game, and yet you fucking lose because so I think they have a lot of components, the Jaguars. I just think Minshew needs to step it up because, and I also think that their defense needs to do better. This is hard for me right now. I don't know which one I'm going to go with.
I'll just say mine while you're still thinking. I'll take the Bengals to get their first win here. I think Joe Mixon finally has a great game. He's been struggling the first a couple weeks. Joe Burrow maybe finds AJ Green for his first touchdown. I'm actually going to take the Bengals and by a lot. Give me Cincy. All right, Marissa, are you taking your Minshew magic or are you going with Joe Burrow? The time has come.
The time has come. Yeah, I am not impressed with how Minshew played, especially with him and everything. And the Bengals did because they just played the Browns, didn't they?
The Bengals
And
play the Browns on Thursday night.
yeah,
They
and
lost, but
they
they
lost
tied with
only
the
by like
Eagles.
a margin, right? It was like very close.
5 points, yeah.
God, yeah, this is gonna burn me again. I don't know. I'm gonna take the Jags. I'm just going.
Jaguars.
I'm just doing it. I don't know. I'm very wishy-washy with this team, but I love what Robinson's doing and against this Bengals defense.
Houston's got the Jaguars too, so I'm the only one with the Bengals. The Browns versus Cowboys. I'll start with Houston. Houston has the Cowboys winning this game.
Mhm.
Who do you got, Marissa?
Browns and Cowboys. Yeah, I don't. Cowboys probably. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys just because Ezekiel Elliott and Dak. I just think that yes, he's not been playing the best, but also I can't put him against a Baker Mayfield. And even though Chubb is looking fantastic right now, I'm just gonna take Dallas.
I'm going to take the Cowboys too. I think Zeke gets going -4.5. I think they even cover that as well. Give me the
Oh yeah.
Cowboys. So we're all in agreement there.
Okay,
Moving
cool.
on to the Saints versus the Lions. Saints -4. Lions coming off a big win in Arizona. Saints coming off a couple losses to the Raiders and the Packers. I'm going to take the Saints in a close one. I think the Lions, like they usually do, they keep it close. But I think the Saints will prevail. Michael Thomas might be back and be that big lift that they're needing right now
I
to
was
get back on their winning ways.
I was literally just gonna ask you that if Michael Thomas was gonna be back, because if he's gonna be back, that's gonna be a very big turning point for this team, as you've got another component for Drew Brees to throw to, pitch to. Yeah, I like my New Orleans Saints in this one. I think that it's gonna be close, like you said. Though upset though against the Arizona Cardinals blew me away when Detroit did that. I was very, very shocked. But I don't have much faith with them right now, and it's also 1-2 teams. So, nah, I'm just still going with my Saints.
Yep, Houston got the Saints in that one as well.
Whoa, we're
So
all
back to back, we're all agreeing. Going on to the Seahawks versus the Dolphins. Houston's got the Seahawks. Do you have the Seahawks -6.5?
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
All right, this is the Miller 64 of the week for me. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. You cannot give up the yards, about 500 yards per game, about 30 points per game, the defense the Seahawks are, and continue to win like this. I think Russell's a hell of a player, but 14 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. He could have another 4 or 5 touchdowns this week, but they still may lose. They almost still lost to the Cowboys and
Yeah.
the Patriots on the last drive. I think they're going to finally get tear down because of that defense without Jamal Adams. So give me Fitz Magic
Wow.
winning against Seattle.
Wow. Woof. That's a big one, dude. I don't
That's
know
why it's
about
Miller's
that.
64 game of the week.
Miller, can we please do that? Miller 64 game of the week. We gotta make a graphic that swipes up every time.
We got to get a partnership with them.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I don't even think I've ever drank a Miller 64, but I'll do it just for Brock.
All right, going on to the Chargers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers -7. Tom Brady quietly. His Buccaneers are in first place, 2-1 after losing to the Saints. He had 3 touchdown passes last week. No Chris Godwin with a hamstring injury. Leonard Fournette looks like he's not going to play. But do you still think the Buccaneers will beat the Chargers?
Yeah, I like Herbert. I do, but I think he's young, and I think that this team isn't as strong as they can be. And going against Tampa Bay, like you said, first right now, and them getting some momentum. I don't think you've seen the end of Tampa Bay by any means, so I'm going with them for sure. I think this won't be easy. This won't be an easy game. I mean, this will be an easy game.
Yeah,
I don't
Houston's
see
got
anybody.
Tampa Bay too.
I mean, you've got Tampa Bay at home, and like I said, with a struggling Chargers team, I just don't see them putting up a huge fight against what the Buccaneers got going on.
Yeah, and they're going across the country, West Coast, 12
Mhm.
o'clock, so their body clocks. I'm going to take the Buccaneers as well. Antoine Winfield Jr. won Defensive Player
It's my
of the
boy.
Month, former Gopher. So, yeah, their
That's my boy.
defense is good. I like them. If you have their defense in fantasy, you should put them in your lineup as well. Going on to the Washington football team hosting the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are -13.5. Who do you got winning this game, Marissa? Ravens. Yeah, I think that's a quick one too. I got the Ravens. Let's just check to see. Houston's always chalks. That he's definitely got. Yep, he's got the Ravens easily.
Yeah, he's always chalk.
All right, going on to the Cardinals versus the Panthers. Cardinals, a West Coast team, gonna have to travel across coast, play an early game, coming off a loss to the Detroit Lions, while the Panthers are coming off an impressive win on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh wow.
Cardinals -3.5. Are you taking the Cardinals?
This is so crazy. If you look at the matchup predictor right now on ESPN, It's 50% Arizona Cardinals, 49.6% the Panthers. This game is going to be incredibly close. Incredibly close. But I'm still going. Oh God, no, I don't know, man. This is hard because I like Teddy and Murray didn't look that good last week, but I think I'm still going with the Cardinals this week. I am. I think Murray is going to snap out of it. I think we're going to see the Cardinals team that we saw, week 1 and week 2, and they're kind of going to get their mojo back. I don't think the Panthers, I don't think they're going to go on a 3 or 4 or whatever run.
Yeah, one thing to note in this one is DeAndre Hopkins hasn't practiced the last 2 days with an ankle. I think he should play. I hope, anyways. I have him 2 of my 3 leagues, so I'm planning on him to go. So I still think the Cardinals are going to win. Even if he doesn't play, I'll still take the Cardinals. I think it's going to be the coming out party finally for Kenyon Drake, and then maybe Chase Edmonds too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a pinch again, Chase Edmonds might be a guy that could save you this week if he gets enough carries and breaks a couple against that bad defense. Vikings, Texans, Marissa, who do you got?
I don't want to answer that because the Vikings suck. The Vikings suck, but the freaking Texans suck more. Oh my God, they do not look good.
Texans -4.
Yeah, I'm biased. I gotta go with my Vikings again. I just think Jefferson having such a good game and Dalvin Cook having such a good game. And yes, they let 30 points go, and yes, they let all these things go, but I think that they're going to finally, hopefully Kirk is going to pull his head out of his own ass and play some good football. But I think with those 2 receivers and running backs right now that are so hot that they're going against this team that David Johnson isn't showing me anything much. They have Randall Cobb, but it's Cobb. So yeah, I'm going Vikings in this bad boy.
The Vikings, I haven't heard much about them, but if you go to Vikings Age on Fansided, that they're saying Danielle Hunter reportedly not returning in the Vikings here near future, so I don't think he's going to play this week. They didn't practice on Wednesday. They're supposed to come back to practice here today on Thursday. We're doing this podcast here Thursday night.
Yeah, they have 0 positive tests right now. As of right now, tonight, they have 0 positive tests for COVID, which is showing good signs. They're just taking it day by day. So I would say we're going to do our predictions, but I also would be a little bit, if you're a fan or a Vikings fan, have it in the back of your mind that this game might not be played because
definitely
you never know. Late things can pop up. Zimmer might, you never know with COVID what we're dealing with. So I would say don't be pissed off or upset if the Vikings don't play this week and it gets postponed just like the Tennessee Titans and the Steelers game did.
Yep, Houston's got the Texans. I got the Texans. So you're lone wolfing the Vikings this week. I just think Deshaun Watson's going to turn it around, and they have that extra practice day on the Vikings because the Vikings just got into their facility this week. Giants and Rams beginning the 3:00 slate. Rams favored by 12. Who do you got, Marissa? Giants or Rams?
I got the Rams.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. I got the Rams too, and so does Houston.
Look at us on this pod.
I think we've gotten 3 or 4 of the same so far.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Are you going upset?
I think it's Houston and I are usually like this, and you're the one that's always like, I'm going not chalk. I'm gonna fight the battle. Wear my heart on my sleeve. So I think
Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah, dude. There's always one upset, and I just want to pick that upset. It just makes you feel so good when you can do that. But then you look stupid a lot too. So I definitely look stupid. So I'm picking the Lions against the Packers. But hey, if you don't take the shot, you can never make it.
True.
I think that young Michael Jordan said that.
Remember when I was like, oh yeah, I got the Raiders, and then they beat the Saints, and everyone's like, what the heck? I literally felt like big dick swinging. Like I was like, watch out, Marissa Voss coming through. Do you know who the I am? Like it's an empowering feeling. But then, you choose the Jags over Miami Dolphins. And they just shit the bed, and then you look there like you're like an idiot. Like, oh wow, put my faith in Gardner Minshew, and he literally let me down. So,
who do you got? Patriots or Chiefs? Chiefs -7.
I'm gonna flip that back on you. Who do you got? because I need a little bit more time to think about that one.
I think the
Hard.
Patriots are going to win. However, I
Oh,
suck at this pick'em, so I'm going to pick the Chiefs on paper because I suck at the pick'em. I'm just kind of going for the jinx. But secretly, I think the Patriots are actually going to win this game. I think they match up well. The thing that can beat the Patriots, the most important thing, is to see how they can stop Clyde Edwards-Helaire with not
yeah.
a full box, because they're going to double Tyreek Hill. They're going to put a corner, probably J.C. Jackson on him, and then have Devin McCourty on top of him as well, so they can get the deep ball. If you look at my rankings, I have Tyreek Hill as my 19th ranked receiver this week. After that one Thursday night opening game where Tyreek Hill went off, Bill Belichick has yet to let him do the same. Gilmore's probably going to match up a lot with actually Kelsey down low to try to take him away. The only thing I worry about is if we can hit Mahomes enough, can Chase Winovich, Dietrich Wise, Derek Rivers, who's bringing some pressures last couple of weeks, get to him quick enough that he can extend plays like he did against Baltimore. I've secretly taken the Patriots, but in this pick'em, because I suck at this pick'em, taking the Chiefs, I hope that makes the Patriots win as well. Yeah, it just confused you, but that's my take. Who do you got winning?
Yeah, I got the Chiefs in this one. Their roster is so deep that you can't even. The Patriots are good, but I think, like I said, their offense is amazing. You've got, if Tyreek is, covered, you still got Kelsey. Kelsey's covered. You still got Edwards. You've got Sammy Watkins. You got Sammy, who had a good first week, but then have gone really, really silent lately. But you still have him if all else fails. And you've got Mahomes for running. I think there's just a lot of elements right now that are going on that it just, and Cam Newton didn't have that good of he had a good game, but like not the fantasy points didn't like say it. So no, I'm going Chiefs on this one. I hope it's going to be close, but I'm really unsure.
All right. So does Houston. He has the Chiefs as well. No surprise there. All right. Bills, Raiders. You're good when you pick the Raiders. Are you going to take them again at home, or are you going to go with the Bills -3? This was the game you said you're looking forward to this week. Who do you got, Marissa?
So excited. I think I'm more excited for this game than the Vikings game if it happens. I'm so excited. I think that yes, I picked picked Las Vegas over New Orleans. But I think no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills, and I'm loving what they're doing right now. And I'm Josh Allen all the way. And Diggs is my boy, and I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to win this bad boy.
Yeah, Houston has the Bills as well. I'm going to take the Bills because I hope I jinx them because I'm shitty at picking. So hopefully me picking the Bills will make them lose.
You now notice that Brock is going with Houston and I, and all of these, he's like, yeah, no, whatever you guys say, man, that's mine too.
Well, I'm trying to make up some ground, picking the Dolphins, picking.
Yeah, I think
who did I have earlier?
That's exactly what happened. Is you're just want to pick those upsets, but then some of them, it's like I probably shouldn't have picked that because that was an obvious one, So no, yeah, but I don't know. Buffalo Bills. We'll see if it pays off, Brock.
All right, Eagles versus 49ers. Anyway, Carson Wentz can upset Nate Mullins. Who would have thought 2 years ago that Carson Wentz playing Nate Mullins would have the 7-point favorites on Sunday Night Football? But that's the world we're living in right now. Who are you taking, the 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh my God, you gotta be, I don't know if you're gonna take the Eagles, but you gotta be dumb to take the Eagles right now. They look like a dumpster fire. If I was a raccoon and I saw a fire in a dumpster, I wouldn't even go near that. Like, I wouldn't even be like, yeah, no, I'm good. That's fine. Just put the Eagles on that. Like, I don't want to go near them. I'm taking the 49ers. Yes, you've got Mullins. Yes, this is kind of like, eesh, but I still got to pick them.
I'm taking the 49ers too, but Houston has the Philadelphia Eagles.
No.
I know, that was a bad joke. Yeah, he has the Niners too. We're all on the San Francisco 49ers. I can't believe I was that obvious.
Oh my God. I was like, there's no way. This man is chalk. That man is all chalk all the time. There's no way.
He's got the Packers as well Monday night, sticking with the chalk. I have the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers offense leading the league in scoring points per game.
You got to be dumb not to take the Packers in this game.
Right?
Aaron Rodgers is looking real good. I'm taking the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is looking real good compared to Matt Ryan and the Falcons, who just should fly away and never return to the NFL. They look so bad.
The question is, will the Falcons have a 2-touchdown lead, though, in the fourth quarter before they lose?
Yeah. Why do they always blow a lead? Like, always. Is it just their mantra now? Is it just their thing that they just, like, blow leads or what? I'm very confused.
It's just I don't believe in curses as being, like, a Christian and you don't believe in that stuff. But there is something mentally, things that reoccur that can get in people's head. Sorry, Vikings fans, but kickers.
I was literally just gonna be like Minnesota sports.
Dallas Cowboys lately, they can't get over the hump. Minnesota Twins, going Minnesota sports, 18 straight losses.
How does that happen? All I know is pain.
If a team goes if you're 50-50 of winning and to lose 18 straight, odds are 1 in 300,000 for that to happen. So that's crazy.
Almost like every single time the Twins like do really good in the regular season, like they're like, this is our year, baby, like our season, this is our time. And then they get to the playoffs and they're just like, yeah, so we're gonna play like high schoolers now. Like every single time they look so bad. Like, you guys looked so good going in. What happened?
Yeah, so going back to the Falcons, that's just what they do. And I actually think the Falcons will have a lead in this game, but then they'll be quickly dismantled by Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, even without maybe a couple of receivers. Aaron Jones last year against the Detroit Lions had a couple fumbles, looked terrible. Look for him to have one of those monster Aaron Jones games this week, and the Packers will win this game. Houston's got anything else before we close our Week 4 breakdown, Marissa?
Go sports. I don't know. No, I like this epi. I wish Houston was here. This was a good time. Obviously, please follow us on all the platforms that we are on. It is ATG Gridiron. ATG Gridiron. Even if you follow me, my Twitter at Marissa Voss, it's the link for our website or where we stream our stuff is in my Twitter bio. So please go in that, check us out. Let us know if we're giving you some laughs. Let us know if we have some incredibly hot takes, and let us know if you want to be in on the Miller 64 bet, because we're trying to get sponsored.
Yeah. Also me and Houston started doing fantasy rankings last week. That'll be up here by the end of the week. I told you some sleepers to get on your waiver wire, and then you can look at our rankings to see who you're going to put in your lineup. And if you have any questions, tweet at us, and we'll definitely answer your questions. Well, that's it for Week 4. That's Marissa Voss. I'm Brock Aker. Thank you for joining us on Around the Gridiron.